Hey, what's up? It's John with 7C Studio, and today I thought we'd do something kind of fun. We're going to make an anime style tree using NPR shader, non photorealistic, sort of just like a toon shader, a cartoon shader. So, first thing I'm going to do is show you really quickly how we are going to make the treetop, the leaves, and then we'll go in and do the trunk. It's the same exact process. So the first thing, we are actually going to shift A and add a meta ball. And you may not use these a lot, but this is, to me, the easiest way to do it. So just add one and go ahead and add a couple, like so. Shift and move them over and around, just whatever works into a little tree design. And let's add some width to it here. It's not super important. And with this method, I mean, you could go in and sculpt this, or you could even use normal spheres and then go in and remesh. I just think this works a little bit better for this kind of thing. The fact that they are already conjoined, and when you join them, you don't have to remesh if you don't want to. So, like so. Bring that over there. Scale it up. That's going to work for me. So then select the whole thing, and all we have to do is type in convert to mesh, and there we go. We have our mesh shade smooth. The next thing we're going to want to do is actually remesh this. I know I said that you don't have to, but I do want a little bit better topology, more to work with, so we're going to go ahead and add that. So remesh it, apply that, and you can see here that we have a little better topology, geometry, whatever to work with. Then go ahead and smooth that, and we could technically go into sculpt mode and shift S to smooth, and then smooth some of that out. Doesn't have to be all of it, just a little bit of it, like so. That will work for me. Let's go back to object mode, and then with this, what we want to do is shift A, and we're going to go to volume empty, and with that we're going to add a meshed volume modifier and a volume displace modifier. Select the meta balls here, which we can name object for now because we're going to delete it. Then go back to volume, new texture, go to the texture properties, choose clouds. That's all we got to do. Go back to modifiers, change the voxel amount here on the mesh to volume to 64. There we go. Everything looks good. So we're going to add shift A, add a cube. I like to scale mine down and then control A, apply the scale. Not sure that it really changes anything, but let's add a modifier, volume to mesh, change grid to voxel amount. Of course, I'm going to do 64 as last time. Choose that volume, and boom, you can see that it's going to change it to more of a pixelated cube-like geometry. So that's exactly what we want. And we could shade smooth this if we want, but I'm not going to yet. All I'm going to do is apply that. And then we're going to choose the volume and delete it. Go to object, and it will be inside here, the smooth one. Delete that. Then for this cube, we're going to rename this to object, because actually I'm going to do that whole process again. So we're going to shift A, add a volume empty. We're going to add mesh to volume, volume displace, choose object, change voxel amount to 64, but instead of clicking new for the texture, we're just going to choose the one that we already made, which in fact we could rename to anything we want. I'm going to name mine Use Me because that is the one that we're going to use. So now that everything is set up, we are going to re-add our cube. We're going to scale it down, Control A, scale, add modifier, volume to mesh. Then we're going to choose volume. There we go. Voxel size, or my bad, voxel amount, which you can do anything, it doesn't really matter. There we go. Apply that. Choose the volume, delete it, choose the object inside, which to compare, here you are, it just crunches it just a little bit more, smooths it out just a little more. And then we're going to shade smooth that. And in fact, what we could do, we could leave it flat, and we could go back into sculpt mode and sort of smooth out some of it if we really wanted to. Just to give it a little texture. Like so. Then we go back to object mode. And I'm going to leave it flat. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the trunk. So add a circle, just move it over here. Tab to edit mode, hit E to extrude, and just bring it up. And then what we'll do is we'll actually take this bottom one and size it up considerably, do a loop cut, scale that in, do another one about here, do another one here, like so. Select this edge with Alt, scale it down, something like that. We'll do this one too, we'll scale that one down. There we go. So then what we want to do is we want to select this bottom ring and fill it. Select the top ring, fill it. Add a modifier, remesh. Apply that. There you go. Better geometry for us to work with. I will smooth it, though it does not matter. And we'll do the same thing we did to the treetop here, but it goes a little bit faster because we'll add a volume empty. I just bring it over here. Add a modifier, mesh to volume, volume displacement, choose that, change it to 64. We can use our texture, which I named Use Me. There we go. Add a cube, bring it over, scale it down, apply that scale, add a modifier, volume to mesh, grid to voxel amount, 64, select volume. There we go. Looks good to me. I was gonna say we could change it up, but we'll just I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go ahead and delete that volume. Delete the circle that we created. We're gonna do that again. So I was gonna say we'll only do it once and edit it, but it will be much easier to just do this. Don't have to play around with any settings. So there we go. We already know what we're doing, so why not? Add a cube, bring it over, scale it down. Oops, I hit Control S. Apply the scale. Volume to mesh. Voxel amount. Choose volume. 64. Looks good to me, so apply that. Of course, we can delete the volume and the first cube, and we can change, well, let's change this to treetop, and then we'll name this one tree trunk. Cool. And so with that, we can just bring it down like so. Scale the bush here up. Move it over like so. Cool. Whole thing will move up like so. Alright, great. Now we can work on the material. So what I'll do is I'll just pop into rendered view. Okay, so let me stretch. Shift A. light, sun, and this one is going to be, of course, straight up and down. I'm going to copy that and rotate it on the Y by 70. Then I'm going to duplicate that one and rotate it on the Z axis 180. So your lights will look like that. So if I go to rendered here, you can see what it's going to look like. Great. Okay, so the next thing I want to do with this is click on the treetop, and we'll just name our lights real quick. So we'll call this 90. We'll call, let's be correct here. Okay, we'll call this 70, and we'll call this -70, just so we know. Well, it's still technically, you get what I'm saying. For the treetop, we'll go to materials, new, move the principled BSDF over here, search for a shader to RGB node, then we want a color ramp, pop that in there, great. We want to change that to constant, it'll turn black, don't worry about that. I'm going to stretch my color ramp all the way out, just because I like having a lot of room to work with on it, okay? Because we do have to crunch some colors rather far, depending, so let's snap that there. This black, we're actually going to bring it up, don't want it so dark. Okay. And remember that in absence of this, with just the light, we had those shadows in here, so of course we know that the shadows of our cartoon light here that we're making are going to be in that same spot, so to say. And if we went to material preview, we could also see this shader in action, but it's not going to be as accurate as it'll be in rendered view, because we don't have the scene lights also working in favor of it. So we're actually going to lighten those shadows up just a little bit. Get it like that, add a little more brightness to it. Okay, now we can start working on the color. So I'm just going to add some color to it. I like to give it more of a yellowish green, like so. Right there. Okay, so here you can see if we shade smooth it, we get the effect that we're looking for, and I'm going to leave this unshade smooth for now, just so it's a little easier to work with the trunk. So we're going to add a new material, and I'm actually going to name this one trunk. We'll name this one leaves. There we go. So same way over here, we're going to add a color ramp, smack that there, stretched out. We're going to add a shader to RGB, smack that in there. We're going to change that to constant, and of course, same way, we're going to, this one, it's going to definitely need to be much lighter of colors, like so. So for this one, we'll choose a nice brown. Choose a nice orange just to see. Okay. Get that in there like so. Like so. Like so. Okay. So now we can start changing this into browns, which will be more on the yellow side here. Right there. Okay, now let's shade smooth that. and you can see that we have our tree made. But there's one more issue with this, which if you like this effect where the colors kind of shift around, you can keep it. But to me, there's an issue, which is the specularity. I like to put my specularity on about 0.2 and my roughness on 0.7. And I'll do that for both of them, so 0.2, 0.7. And that just helps where the colors don't shift quite as much because they're not as specular. Just keeps things a little more controlled, in my opinion. If you're animating, you don't want things to just be up to chance how it's going to react. But if you want it to kind of change around, you can increase that specularity and then drop down your roughness. So here you can see that the colors shift around. I just don't really like that effect in my animations, so yeah, 0.2 and 0.7. And from here, what we'll actually do is one more thing, and then I'll let you guys go. We'll do a displacement on the treetop or the leaves, and so add that displacement. New texture, go to textures. We'll name this one displace tree, or yeah, displace leaves. We'll choose clouds, and you can see that that's definitely not the effect that we want. So I like to use improved Perlin, and then I like to put it on color, and then we'll put the depth on 4, and we'll scale that up, and here we'll check out what we're doing, and you can see we're going to put it on 1.4. Then we're going to go to colors, and we can use the brightness, contrast, and saturation to really get the effect that we want. So contrast up, brightness down, saturation down. We can sort of get a much cooler tree design, and we can do the same thing here if we want. I normally don't. I leave it how it is, but we can do new, go to textures, just to show you guys, displace trunk, boom, clouds, improved Perlin, color, depth of 4. Let's give it a size of 1.2. Then we'll come down here and we'll increase the contrast, lower the brightness, increase the saturation. And in fact, I do think I like that. There we are. So that's it. This is our tree. That's really all it takes. And this works for really anything. Say, if you wanted to do grass, we could. It's sort of the same process. There is a lot more that goes into it, which I will definitely make a video for that next, how to do grass. So I'll keep this scene. I'll put it in the description. That way you can go ahead and download it if you want to look at it or whatever. I mean, it's a pretty simple process once you get the hang of it. In the next one, I'll show you how to do the grass, and then we'll have probably make like a little squirrel and then rig and animate it and have the squirrel run up the tree or something like that, something silly, cute. So if there's anything that you have questions about or want explained, just drop something in the comments for me, or you can join my Discord, which is also linked in the description, and ask me there, which I will respond to much faster than if you drop it on the video. So go ahead and join that Discord if you want, and ask away. I'll see you guys in the next video where we make the grass.